Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
And on today's show, we're going to visit our lawns and see how they're looking right now that the weather has finally gotten cooler.
Having problems with your mom?
Actually, yeah.
We're going to talk about what to do now with your mom that's not flowering.
And after that, we're going to discuss winterizing your pond.
So many come in bloomers and ask if it's okay to plant.
I hate it. Drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Drives me crazy. And last, we're going to share the benefits of planting ornamental cabbage and kale.
So stay tuned, and we'll be back after this short break. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Bloomers Holiday Preview Party. Save the date, Friday, November 16th. Join us at Bloomers Home and Garden Center for Bloomers Holiday Preview Party. It's the biggest event of the year. You'll have a memorable experience enjoying the festive atmosphere, tasting wine, being entertained by the strolling barbershop quartet, and soaking in all the season has to offer. November 16th, everyone is invited. All the fans of Bloomers in the Garden, all the customers, family and friends of Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Celebrate with us and experience the holiday season and the unveiling of Bloomers Christmas collection. During this event, everything Christmas is on sale. Save 50% off any one item and get 20% off everything else. It's an incredible opportunity to build your own holiday collection or shop for unique gifts for family and friends. Don't miss it. Join us Friday, November 16th at Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County, New Jersey for Bloomers Holiday Preview Party. Friday, November 16th. For more information about Bloomers Holiday Preview Party, visit bloomers.com. That's bloomers.com. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, Len, how's your lawn looking now?
You know, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty
awesome.
good. You know, we got a call on Bloomers in the Garden hotline.
Wow.
And it was from Vera Brown.
Vera.
And that she asked basically the same question, how's the lawn? What should I be doing? So take a listen.
Hi, this is Vera from Washington Township. My question today is how to renovate the lawn to prepare it for winter. Also looking at filling in depressions in the lawn. Do you need to topsoil as well as peat moss when just overseeding? Thanks so much, guys.
Wow. So that Vera asked an important question because it's timely.
Yes, it is.
Right now, it's about the time where you still can seed, but you got to be ready. You got to get out there this weekend. The temperatures are already getting cold this morning in the 30s.
It was very cool this morning, wasn't it, Len?
That's right.
So what is the first step that she needs to take in order to get her lawn where she wants it?
Well, she said she has depressions.
Yes.
Now, that depends on if they're just depressions that she needs to even out the lay of her land, like where she's got just dips where it's still grass is growing, but it's just, just like she said, a depression.
Depression, yes.
The rule is you need to get seed in contact with the soil. So you can't just throw some soil in there and hope that it's going to work because it could kill the grass underneath and do nothing. If it's deep, say 3 or 4 inches deep, where it's off the grade,
right,
you probably should dig out underneath it, add topsoil in there, put the seed in, and then rake it so that the seed is in contact with the soil.
So you're cleaning that bottom section of the. Is that what you're doing?
That's right. Because if the grass is still there, you have to get in contact with the soil, or the seed's not going to live. It may sprout, it may grow for a while. Like it'll grow in that little topsoil pocket, but
it won't take hold.
That's right. It'll end up dying.
It'll
end up dying.
So we don't want that.
No. And as far as renovating, your time now is to renovate the soil and to go and try to best way to renovate right now.
Right.
Because of the timeliness of her question, if she went and she rented a core aerator
Yes.
and did her entire yard and then overseeded, watered it in real well, and then got those seeds that they actually would sprout little pockets, because that's going to get it in contact with the soil. In those depressions, cut them out, fill it up with soil so that it's level, and then go ahead and put some seed in that section. And that she doesn't need to cover it with peat moss, like she said. She can rake that in so that it's in the ground about 1/4 of an inch or so, and then needs to water it.
Right. Keep it moist, and she'll be fine.
Yep.
Now that the cool weather's in, that shouldn't be a problem with
Now, 50 degrees. If the soil temperature is 50 degrees, you still can germinate grass
Right.
seed. And again, most of the seed that these days, it's going to be a mixture of rye, which comes up in 7 to 10 days.
Right.
There's tall fescue, which is going to be at the most 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bluegrass that I worry about. Bluegrass can take almost a month to germinate,
Wow.
but I think that she'd be okay if she gets started on it this weekend.
Great. So the roots are still growing, right, Len? This is important
Absolutely.
for those out there to know. It's a really good time to do what Vera wants to do at this time.
It is. And that with fertilizer, if you're putting seed down, you want to do something that has phosphorus. Now, the numbers on the bag, NPK,
Right.
nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium.
Right.
You want that there's to be a little bit of a number in the middle. Most of the time there isn't. But again, it's
For the roots to grow properly.
correct.
Right.
Yep. You basically give it a kick. It starts that
Starts it going.
that root
Starts
hair,
it.
and every seed germinates, whether it's a seedling for a tomato or if it's a seed for your grass. It sends out a little root hair. That seed coat needs to decompose and break down, and then it sends out a hair that has to get in contact with the soil, and then it shoots up a stem, and then that's where if you don't have it in contact with the soil, it dies.
Right. So this aerator that you're talking about, Len, this
Yep.
really is important for that whole seeding process. Is that correct?
Well, it's important for your lawn more than for the seeding process. I mean, ultimately, if you
Okay.
used a slit seeder, which
Okay.
is like a series of skill saw blades on a machine
Right.
that drops the seed right in place, that would be the absolute best. But core aerating just doesn't get done enough. That breaks through the thatch layer, pulls out a plug right down to the soil, allows to get the grass to get elbow room, and it grows and it fills in, and it's a great time to do it.
Right. It allows the fertilizer to work. It allows the water to penetrate properly.
It does. It does. And because what happens is a lot of fertilizer will get caught up into that thatch
Into
layer.
thatch. Yes. So we're trying to get that thatch out of the way and broken up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. But you can't, going back to Vera's question,
Yes.
you can't go back and just kind of throw some topsoil over your grass if you've got a pretty deep depression.
That's right.
Some of the grass will grow through that. Some of it will grow through that. But mostly, if you're covering up that crown, and the crown is where the grass plant
Right.
leaves the soil, if you're covering that crown, you're going to basically kill the plant. So
wow.
you got to get down to the soil.
You got to
and
get
dig
down
that
to the
out.
soil. So you got to do a little bit of work. It's
Yep.
not just throwing the seed on top of the,
No,
top of the soil, and then that's it.
people will winter seed, and that they hope that the thawing and freezing of the soil will work that seed into the ground, and it works somewhat. But to be quite honest, you're throwing a lot of seed away. But
That is.
it's better than doing absolutely nothing.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It's, I don't know. It's nobody core aerates. They rent those things.
Right.
Have you seen the ones with the spikes?
Yes, I've seen them.
And they
Yes.
say, well, you use this and you put a cinder block on it and you drag it around. And all that does is stabs into the ground.
Right.
And it compacts all the soil around
Right,
it.
that's tough.
And almost immediately, it goes back into its
To what it was.
compacted state.
Oh.
It doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't
the
do anything.
aerator is the actual.
Right, core
The
aerator.
core aerator.
Yep, it
Okay.
takes a plug out of the ground
Correct.
and drops it on your lawn, and it's a mess.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a mess. When
Doesn't
what
look pretty.
happens? No, it takes it out and it leaves these things that look like goose droppings all over your lawn. That's what it looks like.
Really? Oh my goodness.
But it's great for your grass.
It's part of the process, and it's doing it the right way
Right.
for the first time, right, Len?
yeah, and you don't need to do it every year. Every other year is
Okay.
probably good enough.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, those of you committed to every year, great.
Right. Yeah.
Great. And that again, it It adds like elbow room for the grass to
Yes.
grow. It removes some of that thatch.
Right.
But it's not a thatcher.
No.
It's not a
No.
power seeder. And again, it's a core aerator.
Aerator.
Core
Right.
aerator. That's the key, because that
Right.
plug has to get taken out of the ground.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful thing that we have there.
Yep.
Good tool to have.
Yep.
Good tool. Oh, if you don't have it, you can rent it.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right. But, anywhere half day, $60, whole day,
Oh,
maybe
that's-
$100. But the results that you get from it, you get all
Right.
next year.
Oh,
It's
that's
not like
great.
you just get it this fall.
That's right.
So Vera, got to dig those holes out that are real deep, fill them with soil,
Right.
then go ahead and put in some grass seed, rake that grass seed in, okay, into any of those deeper holes. Then the next thing is you want to renovate by doing core aeration and then also feeding with a fertilizer that's a starter lawn fertilizer that has nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all three in it. You don't want a zero potassium. You want to make sure that you're getting the starter fertilizer, because that will have it in it.
Right. You're covering all bases here, Len.
Yep.
And that's what we want.
Yep. And the old rule of thumb is if you have more than 50% weeds, then you should probably just kill everything and start all
things.
over.
That's right.
So, but
Good rule of thumb.
that's another show.
Mm-hmm.
That's another show. But all of you out there, I bet your lawn looks great. Probably the best that it's looked all season.
Oh, yes.
How about yours, Julio?
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm cutting it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks wonderful right now. Very luscious and green.
Yep. We've gotten a
And
lot of rain.
A lot of rain.
The cool weather has been good. It's been in between the rain. It's been
Right.
dry. It hasn't been like
Yeah.
steady humidity. I mean,
No.
we've had some warm days, but it's not to the point where it's spreading disease.
Right.
That's the thing during summertime when
That's
we have
right.
that really wet summer, hot humidity. All of a sudden, it's disease everywhere.
So keep mowing and don't stop. It's still growing, right, Len?
Absolutely.
So make it look beautiful
Yep.
until
And you won't have to mow as much.
That's right. You don't have to do as much.
No,
Yeah.
it's
It's less, a little less.
That's right. Now you're going to see some weeds, though.
That's right.
You're going to notice any of those broadleaf
Broadleaf
weeds
weeds,
that are in
yes.
there.
Mhm.
That Weed Beater Ultra that's from Bonide.
Perfect.
They're one of our sponsors, but man, I have vendors from all different companies. We had on Jonathan Green here as a guest here. It was and Rich was talking about how that's one of his favorite products.
That's right.
He didn't
That's right.
hold
Yeah.
back.
No, he didn't.
So again, Weed Beater Ultra, it can
Perfect.
control those broadleaf weeds up to, or down to, I should say, 40 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've got weather that's 40 degrees, we can control
Yes.
those weeds and get them out of there. And
Yes.
that's what you want.
That's real. Yeah. Do it now.
Yeah.
Perfect timing right now is
Yeah.
for that to happen.
And that if you're not seeding, make sure that you do a winterizer feeding. Most important. Most important.
Very important. Yes.
Yeah.
You're getting ready for next year too, not just now.
That's
Getting ready
right.
For next year.
That's right. The effort you put in now is going to benefit
In the
next spring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, we'll be back after this. We're going to be talking about your mom. When we're right, we'll be right back. Is your lawn showing signs of stress from the past hot and humid summer months? Now is the time to feed your lawn to help bring it back to a dark green, healthy lawn. Bonide's Winterizer Fertilizer contains the correct balance of nutrients to evenly feed your lawn for up to 8 weeks and get it ready for the winter months. Bonide's Winterizer Fertilizer contains their exclusive Vital X micronutrient package with iron, which will give your lawn that deep green color you want and provide the right nutrients for your lawn needs for overall good health. Winterizer Fertilizer can be applied with a drop or broadcast spreader and is available in 5,000 and 15,000 square foot coverage bags. So pick up some of Bonide's Winterizer Fertilizer now, as fall is simply the best time to feed your lawn. Bonide products are family made in America. Winterizer Fertilizer is available at these fine stores: Beanie's, Feasterville, PA; Dublin Agway, Dublin, PA; Primex Garden Center, Glenside, PA. Well, Julio, the most sold plant in the fall is definitely chrysanthemums, hardy chrysanthemums.
Yes, they are. We know that, don't we?
And they're getting sold early and early. It used to be that you couldn't find them before the middle of September, but now they're out August, almost July.
Wow, it's pretty early.
It is. And what happens is that all of a sudden they start petering out
That's right.
earlier and earlier.
Earlier.
Yeah.
That's right.
So did you plant any mums this year?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, no. Well,
No.
I know that some mums that I've seen out there there's just starting to go out of bloom. And there's some dedicated souls that will go ahead and they'll deadhead them and they'll pick the dead flowers off. And can you explain what deadheading is, Julio?
Deadheading is those flowers have died, and now you're pruning them away,
Right.
and so now you're getting less flowers on your mums.
Right. And when you do it with most other plants, it encourages more flowers.
That's right.
But with a mum,
No, it's a little different.
the party's over.
That's right.
and that with a mum, you get a set number of blooms on that mum, and then
Right.
once it's done, it's pretty much
done. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have any more buds, and that you're looking down and look inside the plant, you might see some buds that may come up and swell, so you still may get some flowering out of it. But you want to pinch any of those dead flowers off, and that'll help clean it up and make it look nicer. But if you're not seeing any more buds, here's what you need to do. Basically, you need to cut it back and cut it in half. Okay, cut it in half. Yes, I said cut it in half, because you're going to shear it,
Right.
getting it ready for next year.
Right.
Now,
That's a pretty drastic move, but you might say, "Oh, I'm killing the plant," but you're not.
you're not. And you want to be careful not to go too deep. You don't want to cut the main stem. You want to try to get that, almost making it a miniature of what it is now and having that dome shape.
Right.
And with mums, they can push out foliage next year where you've cut it, depending on how severe the winter is and where you have them or where you've overwintered them. They may be in a cold spot and they may actually come from the root. But what we're trying to do is cut them so that they have a nice rounded mound to start with next year.
That's a key point there that you need to do halfway. Correct. That's the first step. What we're going to take,
Right.
and then what is the next step that we need to do next? We need to
Well,
shear it again later on.
yeah,
Correct.
not this, and not when it's dormant.
That's
Because you're
when it's
going to
dormant.
basically do
No.
the one shear, and
Right.
and then, I personally think that mums should be disposable, and I guess I'm the guy that keeps telling you it's okay to
It's okay to throw it
go
out.
throw out your plants.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
With that being said,
Mhm.
if you want to keep your mums,
Mhm.
what you need to do is decide: are you going to leave it where you have it? Most people have them planted right in front of their landscape. Now,
Oh yeah.
it's going to look like a green plant weed
Weed.
for most of the year.
kind of ugly looking.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a chrysanthemum that's out there that's a weed, and it looks exactly, has the same leaf and everything else. So
about that?
maybe move them to the backyard or
That's right.
behind an area that doesn't get that much attention. You don't want them right up in front. And if you want to keep them and overwinter them, it used to be years ago, mums used to be dug out of the ground and thrown into a pot, and that's how they were sold. And
That's how they were, huh?
and that's how you can do
Right.
on your own. So let's say move your mum into a different spot of your yard, along a fence or someplace in the backyard behind, if you've got
Sure.
a pool,
Want a
someplace.
little bit of color somewhere, right?
Yeah, well, someplace where it's not going to be right in the walking path of,
Sure.
of guests and things like that.
Right.
So, okay, we've cut it back once.
Right. Halfway.
All right. Maybe giving it a handful of fertilizer to get those roots continuing to grow over the
That's
winter.
good.
And then comes springtime.
Right.
Springtime, we wait. We wait and
Wait.
you let it grow a little
A
bit.
little bit.
And then
It's getting green a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's getting green and maybe kind of getting that alfalfa look where an alfalfa. I'm sorry, those of you that are older know who I'm talking about from our gang comedy,
gang.
Alfalfa's haircut.
Yes.
Anyway, that you're going to need to shear it. And that first shear is probably done in June,
June,
maybe
okay.
in the end of May. You're going to cut it back a third from what it's grown, because our goal is to get that nice dome shape,
yeah.
where it's nice and pretty. Because mums themselves, let to go, they can be all over the place. They can not really have that real pretty shape. They get that pretty shape from getting that shear.
Okay, so you're controlling that look
Oh, yeah.
that you want.
Now, think about that. That mum that you probably paid $5 for has
Right.
gotten started as a little cutting.
Right.
Then it got cut back, branched out.
Branched out.
Then it got sheared again.
Second time.
And then all of a sudden it's grown into this nice, beautiful mound.
Again. Right.
Throw the stupid thing out. Get another one next year. All right. So if you don't want to do it, and you know what? It's fun. It's
is.
fun.
It is
It's
fun, yeah.
All right. I'll take
It
off
is.
my retailer hat, put my grower hat.
That's
back
right.
on.
You know, a little bit of maintenance. Some people like that. Len.
It is. That's right. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So you're shearing a third back, and then it'll push out another growth and take a look at it and see if you need to shear it again. But your last shear has to be at the end of June, beginning of July. Okay, no, you don't want to go later because all of a sudden you'll push it too late into the season to bloom.
Right.
So, again, feed it. You're going to feed it, and plant tone is something we like.
Plant tone,
Espoma
yes.
plant tone, organic, releases slow, has all the ingredients in it, and it also has that biotone in it.
Biotone,
So
yeah.
it works that all that stuff in there.
Microorganisms
Yeah,
in
that's
the
it.
ground. Yes.
That's it. And then you just see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, and what you can do is tell your family and friends, look at that. I grew that, Mom.
That's right.
And I
They
saved
did that.
$5 by not
That's right.
buying a new one.
You know, Shirley Spurback, our own
Yeah.
bloomers girl, she has one,
Yeah.
and she told me it was yellow the first time, and the second time around it turned a little bit different color.
Really?
Yes.
I mean-
when it was more of an orangey. How about that, huh?
Could
Could have been the soil. I don't know.
Maybe. Sometimes soil will affect that color.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's,
Anyway.
But she did it. She
she
grew
did
it
it.
from last year, right?
That's correct. She did it from last year, and she did the same things that you were saying,
Yep.
and it came out just as beautiful.
You know, and one thing to consider, we're telling you to make it that dome shape. You could just let it go.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get irregular sizing. It's going to be kind of stretched, and you may not recognize it. So,
More natural looking.
yeah,
Okay.
I guess. You know,
Not as domey.
yeah, not as domey. That's right. And you know, they were talking about mums, but the same thing applies to those asters.
Okay.
You know, asters sometimes
Right.
will bloom earlier. You're going to treat them the same way because a lot of those they have a short bloom cycle. But I don't know. It's fun to do.
Yes.
And you can you become a grower and you feel that gardener down to your
Yes.
roots by doing
Right.
that.
That's
So
right.
cut them back gently. Plant them in a spot where you know they're safe. You're going to have to give them some water. Make
water.
sure that they're going into the winter with some water. You don't want to put them in a spot where they're going to be subject to all winter winds because that's not going to be good.
No.
And then it just will basically take off it's going to be late spring before you see a lot of growth on it. Just keep an eye on it. And then, you're going to shear it like it's a hedge.
Enjoy the process. That's part of it too.
That's it.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised when we get that real hard freeze. Like we're getting close to our first freeze within
That's
the
right.
next few days now. Tomorrow it's going to be cold.
Oh, yes.
37
37?
degrees.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
it's
but
going to be a little.
It'll be a crispy critter.
Little crispy.
Yeah.
Crispy critter. Yes.
Yeah, and there's one thing I got to say is that when we get our mums delivered, we buy them from a grower that's third generation, almost third generation at this
How
point,
about that?
and they've been growing mums the entire time. I know that we've been getting mums for over 30 years from
Wow.
them. They deliver them when they're dry on purpose because they don't get brittle. If your mums are watered real heavy, you'll break them. So treat them when you're moving them around or doing something like that. You want to move them when they're dry and they're not brittle.
That's great to know. Great to know.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be back after this and talk about winterizing your pond. High Yield brand bone meal contains 10% slow-release natural phosphorus. It helps all plants to develop sturdy root systems and stimulate healthy growth. You'll use it every time you plant bulbs, but it also is an excellent supplement fertilizer for roses, flowers, and vegetable gardens. High Yield bone meal is sourced from steamed bone meal, which provides a clean, natural source of phosphorus. High Yield is brought to you by VPG, the Fertilome people, and is available at these great stores: Russell Garden Center, 600 New Road, Churchville, PA. Bloomers in the Garden is an hour-long gardening radio program that airs to over 6 million residents throughout the Delaware Valley. From Allentown to Wilmington, from the Main Line to the Jersey Shore, Bloomers in the Garden can be heard twice each Saturday morning, first at 8 a.m. on 860 WWDB and again at 9 on 610 a.m. ESPN Radio. Each episode of Bloomers in the Garden will be broadcast on Bloomers' Facebook page and available as a podcast on bloomersinthegarden.com. Bloomers in the Garden is adding sponsors. Share your message to our large, diverse group of listeners. Commercials and segment sponsorships are available at incredibly affordable prices. Let Bloomers in the Garden get your message out to one of the largest and most diverse populations in the country. If you're interested in joining us in the garden, please visit bloomersinthegarden.com or email len@bloomers.com.
We are back, and we're going to talk about winterizing your pond.
Right.
Now, you might say, oh, it might be too early. Remember, we just said it's going to be 37 degrees tomorrow. So we don't want to go too far down the line because it's too cold to be working on your pond. So this is a great opportunity. The weather's really about 60-ish, which is good to be outside
It
and
is.
working on your
Feels great.
pond. Oh,
Feels
it's great. Yes, it does. We were sleeping good, aren't we, Len?
That's right. That's right. I'm not real happy that my heat went on, but anyway. So how do you know, like, I guess it's the old rule of thumb is 50 degrees for your soil, for your water temperature.
Right. The
Okay.
50 degrees is where we're going to be looking at
Okay.
to see where we're at this point of our cleaning our pond.
Fish start
Fish
changing.
yes.
Right. So
Feeding my fish.
What do I do first?
First thing to do is to look at what you've been feeding them, and what you've been feeding them is pretty much high in protein. So now the fish are going to go into a different stage, and it's going to get colder because they're cold weather fish, and we need to change the way they eat.
So what do I feed them?
You're going to feed them a lower protein food.
Okay.
Okay, there's going to be higher in carbohydrates.
Okay.
So
like a
that-
wheat germ.
Wheat germ is what we're looking at.
Okay.
We have different types of there are sticks.
Yeah.
and,
Most of them are labeled for. It says fall and early
fall and
spring.
early spring. That's correct.
Because the fish are cool-blooded and their metabolism changes.
Yes, they do. So they don't. You don't want them to be full, and we're dropping that
Right.
protein down so they're able to live
Okay.
in a
they
way.
just start slowing down.
Yeah,
they
they
get
slow down.
sluggish.
They're going to be going down to the bottom of the pond.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be hibernating, and they don't need all this protein now
Right.
because they don't use it up.
Well, you know what I do?
What do you do?
I don't feed my fish.
You don't?
I force them to become vegetarians to eat off the
So
the
they're healthy
sides
fish.
and
Healthy
yeah, I
vegetarian?
guess they are scavengers for the most part. Koi are scavengers, and that
Right.
they'll eat what they find. But
Right.
feeding them is a whole lot more fun
Oh, it is.
than just not interacting.
And they
with
probably like that too. They're
them.
getting a little extra.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. Now, what about my plants? I've got some marginal plants. I've got some water lilies. And what should I do?
What you want to do is you want to take your marginal plants and you want to cut them back.
Now, let me explain. Marginal plants
Okay.
are those plants where you put them along the edge.
Perimeter,
So,
yes.
they're on the perimeter. They're not sunk down and deep.
Right.
So, along the edge of the pond.
That's correct. So you want to start off with your marginal plants. You want to take them out if they're by now they're going to be starting to die off, and
Yeah.
so we want to take care of that.
They look pretty crummy.
They look pretty crummy, yes. And we don't want all those leaves to fall in there, all the organic matter. We don't want that going into the pond.
No gunk.
No gunk. That's correct.
No gunk.
Problem. So what we want to do is we're going to cut those back right down to the bottom of the pot.
Okay. And
So-
then, so I kind of keep them in place. Do I cut them or do I pull them out?
I would pull them out so all that gook that you're talking about is not going to be in the pond. So
Okay, so it's easier and the
It's
leaves don't
easier.
fall in, the stems don't fall in.
Yes.
I understand.
Mhm. So-
I understand.
And
What about floating plants?
the floating plants,
Like water hyacinths.
water
I have
hyacinths,
water
yes.
hyacinths that have complete. I can't even see the water anymore. They've filled up so much.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. What should
They're
I
starting, Len. They're starting to die off too, and they're going to die off completely. So
do? Yeah, because
you can.
they're not hardy.
No, they're not. So you can take those out and get rid of those,
Mhm.
and so we need to clean those away
So get them out of the pond.
out of the pond completely.
Yeah, they
Yes.
make a mess. I've had it
mess.
sometimes where they got hit by the frost,
Right.
and it's
Yeah,
it's like they're coated in mayonnaise.
Yeah,
They're
it's,
just they get gross.
they get
And
gross,
that
yeah.
if they sink to the bottom of the pond,
Yeah.
that's a mess.
That's a mess too. More mess that you have to pick up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what about we got that? We got marginals, water lilies. What do I
Yes.
do with water lilies?
The water lilies, you're going to cut those back also because they're starting to die off.
Okay.
Okay, and if they're growing too much from in a pot, it's being overtaken by the root systems.
Mm-hmm.
You can divide those, but
Okay.
that's for another show, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. One for two, you get
Right.
two out of one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how it's done. So go ahead and I'll lift them out,
Lift them up.
cut
You
off
cut
the
them
foliage.
off. That's correct.
Okay,
And you want to put them at the bottom of the pond.
because it's really again, it's the root. It's almost a bulb in there.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
And then should I feed them?
Yes. This is the time to feed your plants. So we have tablet form of plants that we put in our pots.
Right, plant.
And we
tab.
have them plant, yes. Mm-hmm.
slow release
Slow
little
release,
thing. Looks like
yes.
an aspirin almost.
That's correct. And this is great because now you're going to feed them through the winter time again, and they're going to grow hardier in the spring. So that's important to do.
Because roots, there's still root activity at 50
There is
degrees.
there's still activity. It's amazing how that works.
Yep. So okay, I've cut my
Mm-hmm.
lilies back. What if I have tropical lilies? They're not hardy.
No, they're not hardy. So the zone is not going to, our zone is not going to take that.
So what do I
So
do with them?
You can take them out.
They're expensive.
They are expensive.
So I don't want to buy them again. So what should I do?
No, you can take those out and you can put them in a place that's it's going to be warm. It's going to be around 60 degrees. So you don't want them to be below that.
Okay.
And
All right, I
so,
gotta-
but you can place them in an area where it's warmer.
Okay. All right. Then that's you're always never sure if they're going to make it back again.
No, that's not
Yeah.
not guaranteed.
Yeah.
But they could.
So like a fish tank,
Yes,
keep it in fish
fish
tank.
tank,
Yeah.
yes.
Cut
Mhm.
cut the leaves back. Is
Mhm.
not all the leaves
Not
off
all, no.
because again that 60-degree temperature
Mhm.
they'll start to rot,
Rot.
if they have no leaves on it.
No.
Okay. All right.
So
All right. So we've got plants,
Plants.
and so it sounds like
mm-hmm,
cut them back,
mm-hmm,
feed them,
mm-hmm.
no matter if they're a marginal or
No
a
matter
water
what they are.
lily or no matter what.
No matter what. No.
Okay. Should I sink them to the deepest part of my pond?
The
Marginals,
Marginals.
or either ones.
yes, you can do that.
It all depends if it freezes there. Because if they freeze and they're cut back, we may lose them.
You
So
may lose it, yeah.
so make sure that it's below the frost
Below
area.
yes.
Okay.
We can't predict that. I mean, some years are really, really cold, and some years are really, really warm.
That's right.
But
That's right. Well, and then just to go through quick hardware,
Mhm.
if you've got a pump that's in the bottom of your pond, you probably should turn off
That's
your pond unless you're very sure that you're not going to keep it so that it's running all the time. And because what happens is it will create an ice dam on the waterfall, and that's actually, you may find out all of a sudden your pond has no water in it.
Oh my.
So you got to be real careful with that. If you have a skimmer system where it's skimming off of the top, you'd probably be better. The other part of that is if you have a pump in the bottom and you're spitting it all to the top, you're changing the temperature of the pond.
That's right.
That
That's
the
right.
warmest water is now becoming cold,
Right.
and the fish aren't going to like
They're
that
not gonna
at
like
all.
that. No.
The other thing is making sure that you are going and taking your UV out, removing your UV, and you're cleaning your UV. Now is the time. And if you've had a bulb in there for more than 2 years,
Oh boy.
replace it.
Yes.
It is no longer efficient. And the most important thing, one, de-icer. You're creating a chimney, so all the gases that build up in the bottom are going to go out of that chimney, out of the pond, and not poison your fish, because if it's sealed tight, your fish are dead.
And at this time, don't forget that you can put a net over your pond to alleviate all those leaves that are coming in,
Yep.
and they would be in the bottom of your pond if you didn't have that.
Yep. So, again, cleaning out your pond, getting as much of that organic matter that's in the bottom out, and use Microbe Lift, okay, Autumn Prep.
Great brand.
Got to use it. Gets rid of all that gook on the bottom.
Yes.
And that's what we want. No gook.
No gook.
No gook.
No.
So if you've got questions, go to your local garden center. They will help you to winterize your pond.
Right.
All right. We'll be back after this. Are you tired of the mice moving into your home with you every fall? Would you like to keep them from coming into your home? Do you dislike using mouse killers around your kids and pets? Bonite has the answer. Mouse Magic. Mouse Magic is an all-natural mouse repellent that keeps mice from coming into your home, summer cabins, cars, boats, RVs, farm equipment, garden sheds, and more. Mouse Magic has a pleasant aroma which smells like spearmint and peppermint, but mice hate it. Mouse Magic repels by smell and works with an irritant that drives mice away. Just use one throw pack per average size room and you're mouse free for up to 2 months. Available in a 4-pack box or a 12-pack economy Ziploc bag. Bonite products are family made in America. Mouse Magic can be found at these fine stores: Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, Sewell, Washington Township, New Jersey; Lehigh Valley Garden Center, Allentown, PA; Delray Plus True Value, New Hope, PA. Julio, the question that drives me the most crazy at the store is when they come, customers come in, they say, hey, is it okay to plant?
Oh, yes,
Like,
I know.
oh,
We get that every year.
every year.
Every year.
It doesn't matter what the season. It could be summer. It could be spring. Is it okay to plant? Is it okay? All right. So why do people ask that?
I believe it's because they don't understand that it is okay to plant. No.
Well, no, you're right. Somebody out there is telling people, it's like, oh, you better not plant too early.
That's right. Or you can't do this, you can't do that. I think that's a huge problem because we plant even in, we planted in February. Remember?
Yes, we did.
It's
Yes,
like
we did.
unbelievable. So we want to break that myth.
Right.
Okay? That's one of the myths that we need to break.
Yep.
You can plant anytime.
That's right.
365. As long as that ground is not frozen,
Yep.
you're fine.
Yep. And in the summer, as long as you can get it watered, you can plant.
That's correct.
Now, fall is the best time to plant because we have the benefit of 2 rainy seasons. The fall's rainy, the winter's rainy, actually 3.
3.
The spring is rainy, so
Right.
it's the best time to plant in the fall. And of course, we're talking about hardy plants. We're talking about trees and shrubs and things.
Right.
Now, I guess some people, they hear like you can't take certain trees out of the ground in the fall, but these days everything's mostly container grown, and anything that is above the ground can always go back in the ground. So if you see it, it can be planted.
That's right.
So
That's right.
don't, sorry guys, no excuse. You can plant anytime,
And
anytime.
like you're saying, Len, this is like ideal. This is our second spring,
It is.
and we do a lot during this time of year.
Yeah. The only problem is you don't get as much of a selection that you do in the spring.
Right. But look at it this way: the plants that are left over, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
You know.
They're twice as big.
Yeah. Yes.
You get a bigger size
yes.
for a cheaper price.
Yes. And
Yeah.
those are the plants that a lot of people might not like.
Yeah.
But you probably like.
Well,
You know.
the plants are bigger. You know, their root system is probably a little bit root bound, but those plants, they're going to be bigger next year than the same size. Like, for instance, if a plant's $40,
Right.
and it's $40 in the spring,
Yeah.
some of those plants have grown almost an entire year and now are a size that's bigger.
Bigger.
So if you were to rebuy that plant,
It
at
costs you
that,
more.
it's going to cost you more.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Isn't it amazing
Yeah.
how
Or it's going to be smaller.
it's going to be small? Right. Right. So you're winning on that end of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
And there's still a lot of good, beautiful plants out in the nursery. Let me just say that.
yeah, Those dwarf conifers that we have out there
Oh,
are
they're
stunning.
gorgeous. You can
They're
walk
stunning.
in, and our store looks full.
Yeah.
We've got some nice selections still.
We do.
We do.
And, we're forced, as most garden centers are, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them are forced into playing the game of clearance because
Right.
they don't want to be selling things at Christmas that really they don't want to overwinter anything. They want to sell out. And I can't blame them.
That's right.
But I think sometimes we're shooting ourselves in the foot. The fall is for planting.
It is.
And that I know that we're going to steadily build our supply in selection in the fall so that it rivals spring.
Right. It should. It should, Len.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's a beautiful time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great.
It's a great
This
time.
is a great time to do it.
And retailers
Mm-hmm.
are. Let me rephrase this. Consumers have the advantage because they're getting plants normally this time of the year at a discount.
It is. That's
Now,
right.
if I had my way and I'm a retailer,
Right.
I would change that.
Right.
But unfortunately, that a lot of places out there, a lot of your local garden centers are starting clearance sales, and you can find some great deals out there.
You can. You can.
Like all of our perennials right now are 50% off. We just, it's time.
Right.
It's time. And you're really, with the perennial that you're buying now, you're buying the root. You're not
root,
buying the
that's
plant
right.
top. You're buying the
The
root.
roots, yes.
And the root is going to be
Strong.
it's the promise of the plant next year.
Yes, it is. So this is a great time to be out in the garden
Yeah, it
and
sure is.
going into the garden center.
Yeah, it is. It's a great time.
Yes.
And also it's a little slower, so you get more personalized service.
You do? Yes.
Yeah, it is a great time to be at the garden
Yes.
center.
We have plenty of time to talk to you about your garden.
Yep. That's right. As far as growing plants now, again, it's the best time of the year. So
Yes.
if anybody wonders when you can plant or can I plant,
Right.
it's all about can I plant annuals. May 15th is generally the frost-free day.
Frost-free day, yes.
Okay. That's for seedlings of annual plants.
Right.
But shrubs and trees, you can plant anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime. And as long as that plant's out of the ground, you can put it back in.
Right.
So don't be worried about when I can plant or if I can plant.
Right.
You can plant anytime.
Yes, we just broke that myth, okay?
Yeah. All right. Mythbusters. All right. All right. We'll be right back after these messages. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds. We carry a flock of feeders like the Brome Squirrel Proof Feeder, which has a lifetime guarantee. Brome makes fantastic feeders for frustrating squirrels and feeding songbirds. Bloomer's Bird Sanctuary has a vast selection of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. We carry Lyric, Coles, C&S, Pine Tree Farms, and our own line called Bloomer's Blend. Bloomer's Blend Songbird Magnet contains premium black oil sunflower, peanut splits, millet, safflower, and tree nuts. It's sure to attract the most colorful songbirds to your yard. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County, New Jersey. Visit us online at www.bloomers.com. When you come in, ask for Shirley Spurbeck, Bloomer's Wild Bird Specialist. Mention you heard it on Bloomers in the Garden Radio, and we'll give you $10 off a 20-pound bag of Bloomer's Blend Songbird Magnet Mix.
Len, we're going to talk about cabbage and kale.
The kind you eat.
No, the ornamental ones that we have.
You know, we've those of you that are out there and looking at us on YouTube channel,
Right.
we have them in the studio here. What's the difference between a kale and a cabbage?
A kale has curly leaves,
So roughly,
roughly curly.
as I'm touching it,
Yes.
you can see it. And that cabbage has a smooth leaf. Looks like the cabbage that you'd make slaw out of, or
That's right.
or cook. We were talking about it. It's like, well, it makes a garnish. It does,
right.
but the colder weather is actually better for these bad boys, right?
Yes, and that is the beauty of these, that you can put them out until we've talked about
Yeah.
February.
Yep,
I've seen them out that long.
Yeah.
And beautiful colors,
it is.
because as it gets colder, the rosettes get brighter.
Wow,
Is that
Rosettes,
amazing?
That's Fancy word.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Rosettes.
And we talked in the mum segment about how they're becoming earlier and earlier.
Yes.
That's a good and bad thing because with the cabbage and kale, that it can bolt.
That means what?
Bolting is when instead of you getting a fruit or instead of you getting the cabbage head, it sends out a flower spike instead.
Oh, okay. So the middle of it kind of grows higher.
Yep.
Is that what happens?
Yep. You can
Looks
try.
kinda funny.
Yeah, it does look funny, and it doesn't look pretty. You can try to cut it out if you can. I planted some parsley,
Okay.
bolted, boom.
Wow.
Didn't form a nice bushy plant.
No.
Or a clump.
Oh,
now
wow.
it went and bolted. Now I've got things, yellow flowers that I don't
Oh,
want.
brother.
Yeah, so I don't have much of a
No
I
no
can't-
parsley.
no parsley to
Oh,
cook
my
with.
goodness.
Nope. But like you said, they'll last through a killing frost,
Right.
and that now is a great time to plant them.
Right.
They will tolerate a freeze. There's something else, and that what happens right now they're not pretty.
Yeah.
They have the center of them is still a little green. They don't have good color yet.
No, not
but
yet.
as the season wears on, that color, the cooler weather makes them color up even more.
Yes. A little
Like-
brighter.
Yeah, right now, like the ones we're looking at, and again, you
They're
can
closed up.
see us on YouTube, that this center will get white. So again, the kale, we've had kale that have grown to be almost 3 feet across.
boy.
I mean, they're gigantic plants.
That's
and the
huge.
center, the white portion is in the center.
Right.
And that, it's almost like we're coming into Christmas season.
Right.
Poinsettias, where the flower is not the red part, they're leaves. It's the same thing with these. That the center, it's not truly a flower. It's not flowering
No.
kale. It's the leaves are just ornamental. So ornamental
it.
is probably a better word. But that will get to be an intense. They're in pink. They're whites.
Pretty- oh.
The whites, to me, is
You're
great.
gorgeous.
One thing is that they do last into the season. So
Right.
you end up with it's not a Christmas color,
No.
the pinks and stuff, but they're
Yeah.
fantastic. looking.
Yes. You can replace your annuals with them in the front of your beds,
Yep.
and you still have color all the way through
Yeah. And like you said, into February.
into February. Yes, that's
You know,
amazing.
And
And they keep their color too.
yep. And what to do is you'll keep them as long as you can. And that when they get soft it's basically
mushy.
they're getting mushy. And
Yeah.
what happened is they've gone through so many freezes that it's time to
Time to
toss
pull
them.
out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. But that's not going to be until you've got, like you said, February.
That's right. Just starting. We're just starting with the kale
Yep.
and the cabbage.
What do you like better, kale or cabbage? Ornamental.
I like the cabbage, Len.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the cabbage.
Because of the colors. The colors are a little more intense.
More intense, yes.
Like the purple,
Yes.
everybody's seen purple.
Yeah, the burgundies. Yeah, the
Right,
deep
they've seen
burgundy.
purple cabbage in the grocery store.
Yes.
Now this doesn't form a round head, but it forms that center, and
does.
that it's a contrast. And when you look at the ornamental cabbage and kale, it's the fact that they have either green leaves on the outside edge, and the centers are what colors up.
Yes.
So the center may be a foot across and have that bright contrasting color, and that's what makes them beautiful.
It does. It's
Beautiful.
all about the leaves. It's it's not flowered. It's just about the leaves, and it's beautiful.
Yep. And that being the mums are done, now you've got something in the garden that's got some color for a long
For
time.
a long time.
And I'm gonna pump my pansies. Put some pansies in.
Yes, great combination.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep. Because they'll be there long into the
Yes.
season.
The
and it's
winter
more-
pansies, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
right.
more of the wind. It's the wind that affects the pansy flower, not so much the cold.
Right.
If we get that dry winter wind, that the leaves the flowers rather fall off, but the leaves are still there.
Right.
And then they come back after you've pulled these out in February. Your pansies are still there,
That's right.
and they're going
That's
to
right.
flower in March, April, and they'll be gorgeous.
Yes. What a
So-
combination, huh, Len?
Lots to
Wow.
do in the garden.
Yes,
yet.
there is. We
Lots to
still
do.
got
in
a
the garden.
lot.
Yep.
Beautiful.
So, all right,
Okay.
we're going to be right back after these messages.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
See me and Julio down by the schoolyard. See me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
Well, Julio, what did we learn on today's show?
Wow. Quite a bit.
We did.
I hope you took notes today.
I've got my notes right in front of me here.
Yes, they are. We have plenty, don't we?
Yeah, the mums are kind of being over, and it's
That's
time
right.
to maybe move on and put them in another part of the yard.
That's right. Yeah, the lawns are coming out beautiful now.
They
aren't
are. They
Wow.
are. They are. And that, again, it's the pond. You need
pond.
to take care of your pond now.
Yes.
We talked about using different control products like the MicroLift. If you're not going to do anything, put MicroLift PL in
That's
there.
right.
Or, I'm sorry, MicroLift Autumn Prep.
Autumn prep. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can go as crazy as taking all the water out, putting your fish somewhere, and then then taking a power washer, or getting all the
Getting all that.
gunk out, and you'll be ready to go in spring.
Mhm.
Just make
That's
sure
right.
you put a net over top,
That's right.
and you go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and you create that chimney, so all those that rotting gas
Gases.
gets out of your pond
Right.
by using a pond heater.
Beautiful.
Pond heater makes a hole in the ice. It doesn't heat your pond like a hot tub.
That's right.
Everybody understand that?
The chimney.
That's,
chimney.
that's right.
Right.
It's a chimney effect.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Halloween is next week,
Oh boy.
and we have our scary gardening show.
That's right.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
yeah. We've got a call on the Bloomers hotline. That is 609-685-1880. So
Yeah,
everybody
yes.
call us if you've got a gardening question.
That's right.
That's 609-685-1880. Take a listen. We got this call about bees.
Hi, my name is Art. I'm from Sewell, New Jersey. I wanted to know how I could effectively control the bees in the garden without killing the pollinators. Chasing them in the front lawn with the tennis racket, it just doesn't seem to work anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what, bees can be scary.
Yes.
But most of the time, they don't care about you. We'll talk about that next week. What else are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about protecting your vegetables from frost.
That's it. There's a lot of growing to go. We've talked about how roots are growing, and that there's a lot of action going on underneath the ground.
There is.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about pumpkins. We have to talk about pumpkins. It's Halloween.
That's correct. And we're going to talk about when do you know if a plant is dead or dormant.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
You know, a lot of time this year, how many customers do we have come in? It's, my plant's dead. Can you
Oh,
replace
my
it? And
goodness.
it's alive.
Yeah, it's still-
we do guarantee our plants.
That's right.
And that you just need to, there's a few things that you need to pay attention to and not go and assume that it's dead because it doesn't have any leaves.
Right,
boy,
right.
oh boy, you get
Yeah.
that all the time.
Yeah, you get thrown off. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Then we're going to talk about firewood.
Oh, yes.
You know, it's just a quick primer about firewood and that what to do. I mean, I have a wood burning stove at my house. Do you have a fireplace or anything at your
no,
house?
Lane,
No.
nope.
Yeah, my
Sorry.
wood burning stove. I use it all the time, and that
Oh, do you?
there's a lot of things that you need to know about wood. Especially, you don't want termites. You don't want to deal with any of that mess. Whew.
So we're going to
Termites
get a
are
little
bad.
lesson on firewood. That's wonderful.
That's it. That's it. Did you cut back your perennials yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay. I mean, I haven't done anything,
I haven't done it
in the
yet.
yard.
No.
The temperature is just getting cool enough to do that.
Right, it is.
Did you plant any bulbs yet?
No, I haven't.
No, it's good.
It
I
is
like
good
planting.
time?
I like planting bulbs when it's colder
Oh, you
than
do?
doing it now.
Okay.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I'd like to thank Brett from
Thank you,
Burger.
Brett.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you,
Brad.
guys.
All right. Brett always makes us sound good every week, and we keep
Sound-
forgetting to give him the credit he deserves.
Yeah, it's a
But
great
Brett, thank
sound
you.
man.
All right. You know what? We'll be back next week right here. Join us in the garden.
See you in the garden.
week-long gardening radio program that airs to over 6 million residents throughout the Delaware Valley. From Allentown to Wilmington, from the Main Line to the Jersey Shore, Bloomers in the Garden can be heard twice each Saturday morning, first at 8 a.m. on 860 WWDB and again at 9 on 610 a.m. ESPN Radio. Each episode of Bloomers in the Garden will be broadcast on Bloomers' Facebook page and available as a podcast on bloomersinthegarden.com. Bloomers in the Garden is adding sponsors. Share your message to our large, diverse group of listeners. Commercials and segment sponsorships are available at incredibly affordable prices. Let Bloomers in the Garden get your message out to one of the largest and most diverse populations in the country. If you're interested in joining us in the garden, please visit bloomersinthegarden.com or email len@bloomers.com.
Bloomers Holiday Preview Party. Save the date, Friday, November 16th. Join us at Bloomers Home and Garden Center for Bloomers Holiday Preview Party. It's the biggest event of the year. You'll have a memorable experience enjoying the festive atmosphere, tasting wine, being entertained by the strolling barbershop quartet, and soaking in all the season has to offer. November 16th, everyone is invited. All the fans of Bloomers in the Garden, all the customers, family and friends of Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Celebrate with us and experience the holiday season and the unveiling of Bloomers Christmas collection. During this event, everything Christmas is on sale. Save 50% off any one item and get 20% off everything else. It's an incredible opportunity to build your own holiday collection or shop for unique gifts for family and friends. Don't miss it. Join us Friday, November 16th at Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County, New Jersey for Bloomers Holiday Preview Party. Friday, November 16th. For more information about Bloomers Holiday Preview Party, visit bloomers.com. That's bloomers.com.